Hey y'all, this is the video for the first portion of the flood myth that we're reading. Remember, this portion does not actually start when the flood starts. This starts when the people start, or when the rain stops, I mean. So the earth is already flooded and the people are just responding. So we can get started. Oh, sorry, let me scroll up to the top. That would probably help if we started at the top. So remembering that this first portion has two subjects and that they make this verb plural. So two singular subjects together make the verb plural. So, and now the sea and the earth have no dividing line. The sea and the earth have no dividing line. Everything, there's your subject. That's a neuter plural. That's where I'm getting thing from. Everything. Sorry, I just realized this camera's kind of at a weird angle. So everything, and that's omnia, was the sea. Everything was the sea. And, or also, that's quoque, the shores were lacking the sea. Notice the sea here, ponto, is a dative. That's because your verb takes the dative. So its direct object is in the dative. So the shores were lacking the sea. Now he's going to jump into a description of what four different people who survived the flood are doing in your text. I've underlined the subjects for you already. So this one, this first guy who I'm going to do in blue, seizes a hill, meaning he like gets up on top of a hill, which is weird because he literally just said that everything was water, but I'm going to let it go. Another person, this is what I'm going to do in purple, another one sits in a curved boat and leads his oars.
Attention students, will the following individuals
It's lunchtime.
report to
It's
the
lunchtime.
lobby?
I'm just gonna wait.
Hayden Denzio, Will Horner,
Oh, Will Horner.
Grayson Johnson, and Owen Barrett. Please report to the lobby at this time.
Sorry. Right, so another one sits in a curved boat and leads his oars, that's your accusative direct object, in this place where recently he was plowing. So he is rowing a little boat through the water in the place that used to be his fields. That's how tall, or I guess deep the water is. Again, we're switching people. I'm switching to red for Ille, Oops, sorry. That one. A third guy sails above. Now above, that word supra is a preposition, takes the accusative. So you've got two accusative objects. One is here, segestes, and two is culmina. They're both plural. So that one sails above the crops or the tops of the submerged houses. Oh, excuse me, of his, it's singular, of his probably submerged house. So he is floating over, you can imagine a farmer has a wheela and then it's surrounded by fields and he is in a little boat sailing around what used to be his farm. That's kind of sad. Also notice that A-B word right there. All right, next guy, I'll do, I don't know, what haven't I done? Blue. This man, that's Hick, this man catches a fish in the topmost elm tree. I think it really means like the top of the elm tree, but the topmost elm is what it says. Notice that all of the verbs that I have boxed so far in this little section on the men, they're all present. Remember, we talked about historical presence. When you're telling a story, you have a urge to draw your reader in. So even though you're talking about something that happened in the past, you write them as presents. They're called historical presents. And you can translate them either all as present, so seizes, sits, leads, or you can do them all like they're perfect. Seized, sat, led, either one is fine. All right, I'm switching to purple for the next bit of this, which we start talking about the animals and the like scenery. Okay, so an anchor, that's your subject kind of all the way towards the end. And an anchor is fixed, is fastened in the green plow, or excuse me, in the green field, if fate brings it. This is an if statement, so if fate ferre, tuli latus, like brought it. This is, I think, really saying like as if it was by fate, an anchor caught in this field. It's just a little, not throwaway phrase, but a little like an idiomatic phrase. Or the curved boats. These are those little small boats. That's one of your vocab words. Or the curved boats hold. And then you've got two accusative. And they're plural. So the vineyards having been thrown under. This is the perfect passive participle from this verb over here, subicio, to throw under. I think it's implied that they were thrown under the water. So that's why they're thrown under. So, or the curved boats tread on the vineyards having been thrown under. Maybe like the thrown under vineyards. And now this next clause all goes together, and it is dependent on this word qua. Qua means where. It's really the ablative of qui, quae, quod, but it gets used here as where. I'm going to switch colors for you just so you can see the different clauses. So, and where, that's qua, recently the slender she-goats, it's just female goats, yeah, grazed the grass. This is a neuter accusative. So, and where recently slender she-goats grazed the grass. And then this is the parallel clause. Now, there, like now, in that same place, I love this word deformes. It means lacking a definite shape. And it's describing the foci. Those are just mammals that come out of the sea. I'm imagining like seals here. So now in this place, the seals lacking shape. Maybe they're like manatees. Manatees I don't believe are native to the Mediterranean. They're probably seals, but now I'm picturing manatees for sure. So now they're the shapeless sea mammals, seals, place their own bodies. Okay, I skipped over a couple of figures of speech. I want to make sure you saw this. A, B, A, B. That's an interlocked word order. It's synchesis. We have to unlock it with a key, synchesis. This one here, A, B, B, A, that's a chiasmus. See how there's a big hole, a chasm maybe, being formed that sua corpora falls in? Yeah, that's good pneumatic. I like both of those. And then I also skipped over this one. This is a syncope right here. That's where you take a syllable out to fit the meter. So this should really be C-A-R-P-S. It's the second principal part. And then E-R-U-N-T. But it gets shortened to fit the meter to E-R-E. So it should be C-A-R-P-S. That's the second principal part. And then E-R-U-N-T. But they do the E-R-E. It looks like an infinitive, but it's not really an infinitive. Okay, while we've stopped there, give me 1 second. I'm going to erase and scroll for you so that we can finish up as we get started. Let me just, get the eraser and I'll erase all this for you. So they've just been describing that the ocean animals have come up and are in near the land. Now they're going to describe the next subject is right here, the Nereids. They are a group of 50 sea nymphs. They're nymphs. They're like, how would I describe a nymph? A semi-goddess, maybe. Sorry, I was trying to erase that last line. A semi-goddess, like a divine figure, but not really a goddess in the sense of having power, but they're just nymphs and they all live in the sea. But now we're going to watch as they come onto where land used to be and are like amazed by what's happening on land. Okay, so the Nereids, those are the sea nymphs I was just describing. Miror, mirari, miratus, sum, deponent verb, wonder at or admire the groves and the cities and the houses under the water. So they've come, their ocean has gotten so tall, it's over the tops of the cities, and they're swimming around being like, oh my gosh, look at what the people on land have. It's like a real aerial moment, I think. The dolphins, that's your next subject. The dolphins hold, this is from Teneo, Tenere, Tenui, Tentus, hold the woods. And they incursant, that's your next verb, they dash against the tall branches. They dash against the tall branches. So they are bumping into the tops of the trees, those dolphins are. That feels like a real dolphin move. They're so playful. All right, and I'm just switching colors. Oh, actually, we're still on the dolphin, sorry. And they pulsant, they beat the maybe the agile oak trees. We don't think of oak trees as agile. I think it's trying to describe the top of the branches. You can imagine like the trunk is not agile at all, but in an oak tree, once you get up, it has big long branches that kind of sway in the wind. I think it's describing the top part to let you know that that's how tall the water is. All right, this next part sounds biblical with the lion and the lamb, I think. Okay, the lupus is your subject. The wolf swims among the sheep. Not is the present from no nare to swim. It's a weird one. The wolf swims among the sheep. Now this next part, unda is your subject for way hit twice. That's anaphora, where we have the same words in multiple clauses. All right, so the wave carries the tawny lions. Tawny is just a color. It means the color of a lion, that kind of tan brown color. So the wave carries the tawny lions. The wave carries tigers. All right, now we're in a new clause where you have to know how the word neck works. Remember, the word neck means and then not goes with the verb. So you say and at the beginning of your sentence, and you say not and make the verb negative. This part's also a little confusing because you have to use the word prosunt twice. So it's going to have two subjects, goodness. Vires is the subject the first time, and then crura is the subject the second time. They both use this verb. The other thing that's a little tricky is this word fulminis, we've seen before to mean lightning, can also mean the tusk of a boar. Picture like Simone and Pumbaa. Pumbaa, the big warhog, has those big giant tusks. That's what it's talking about. Okay, so and the strength of, this is a genitive, of the tusks are not useful. I got not from neck, and then that word means to be useful. So, and the strength of his tusk is not useful for the boar, meaning he can't swing his head around and use his tusks like weapons as he normally would. And the Wolokia crura, the quick legs, are not useful. Again, I got not from here, are not useful to the stolen deer. This is from Alfero, Alfere, Abtuli, Ablatus. That is a word you know for to steal. This is the fourth principal part, perfect passive participle. And the fast legs are not useful to the stolen deer. This is not meaning that a human being stole the deer. This means that a deer is used to being on land and the water has stolen its home and swept it into the ocean where its legs don't help. Deer can swim, but they don't really swim. I mean, they can cross rivers and stuff, but you can imagine that a deer that's used to running really fast is not getting anywhere, just trying to swim. All right. Let me repeat that part one more time. So, and the strength of its tusk, is not helpful, useful maybe to the boar. And its swift legs are not useful to the stolen deer. All right, this next part is talking about bird. A bird, you can picture like a vulture or something. And that's your quay. And then the next bit is an ablative, absolute. Notice I switched colors for switching clauses. So, and with lands having been searched for a long time. That word diu means for a long time. So with lands having been searched for a long time, where it might be able to stop. This is one of those optative subjunctives where it might be able, it hopes it would be able, where it might be able to stop. The wandering bird. This is like a big kind of bird that flies over the water. The wandering bird sinks, drops, falls to its ruin into the sea on its exhausted wings. Notice I've got that A, B, B, A chiasmus there. So, and with the lands having been sought for a long time, where it might be able to stop, the wandering bird falls to its ruin in the sea, into the sea, really, on its exhausted wings. It flies so long, but it can't find a place to land, which honestly makes no sense because we've just said that there's some guy sitting on a hill. So whatever. We're gonna give it to him. All right. The immense freedom. Can you see the word that we get the word license from that? So the immense freedom of the sea. I'm going to write of again. I know it's not my best handwriting. The immense license, the immense freedom of the sea. Obruerat had buried the mounds, the hills. So it's pretty deep. It's pretty deep. And the Noe fluctus. I know that fluctus does not look like a plural, but it's a fifth declension. Us, u, us, so it's that nominative plural. And the new waves were beating the mountainous treetops, the mountainous tops. I guess. I think it really means it's not really always treetops. I think here it's mountaintops. This is the word for mountainous. Did you know Montana, the state's name is mountainous? That's what its name means. Neat. So the new waves were beating the mountainous tops. The tops of the mountains is what it means. A great part was stolen by the wave. I think this means like a great part of everything, a great part of the land, a great part of the people, a great part of the animals, like this huge portion of society was stolen by the wave. Now, this relative clause here, this quibus, is a connecting relative. That means I put and in front of it, and it's going to connect the next phrase to the last phrase. And those whom the wave spared, like the people whom the wave spared. The long hunger, oops, sorry, I'm having trouble writing under that red. The long hunger subdued them. Illos is your accusative direct object. This whole first portion, quibus unda percepit, that relative clause, but the connecting relative is dependent on illos. So the long hunger subdued those ones whom the wave spared. So anybody who lived through this giant flood, the long hunger conquered them with with lacking food. They starved to death. Oh, it killed them by starvation. That's so sad. Let me repeat that last bit because it's kind of tricky. A huge part was stolen by the wave. And those whom the wave spared, the long hunger subdued them with a lacking food. Oh, that's so sad. All right, good job, guys. That was a long video. Thanks for listening.